Hey, it's Tia Carrere, and you're listening to Kino Kingdom with Britt
and Lazlo
and Rupert. Party on, guys.
Hello, and welcome back to episode 114 of the Men Who Talk. We are going to smash through a load of films today, and we're not. There's going to be no preamble, and we're just going to dive straight in. I've got like a handful of films, but which one of us has got the most films? Because it makes sense for them to start first.
I've got 8.
Of course.
I've got 7.
Oh, Lazlo,
I win.
Yeah, you won. You won the non-existent competition.
And what a belter to start with. Jurassic World Rebirth.
Oh dear. Okay.
Have you guys watched this one, the new one?
No, I haven't. I saw the one before it either. Yeah.
I haven't watched a Jurassic Park film since. I think the original is probably still the best. I remember watching 2 and 3 as a teenager. Which was the first one with Chris Pine in it? Not Chris Pine. The other Chris. Yeah, and I remember there was a scene in it where he couldn't stand convincingly in a lift, and I thought, oh, I'm having trouble with this. So yeah, that was
School of Acting.
There's the one with the ginger woman just got torn to shreds or something, and people were in uproar about it. Right. Okay, I did see that one.
It had a weird misogynist edge to it. That movie. I don't know why, for no particular reason. It wasn't very good. And then I saw the sequel, and that was worse. And then I didn't even bother with the one after that. And then this is another one on top. This
is 3 films after the one with him standing in a lift unconvincingly. Right? Okay. I honestly don't know. I don't follow them.
Yeah.
So
this is the second soft reboot of the Jurassic Park franchise, basically.
Wow.
So new cast. It's still set in the same universe, but it's essentially a reset again.
Really quick final question. Sorry to interrupt. When you say soft reboot, did the other films not do well then?
No, they did fine. I mean, they did very well. The Jurassic World films did very well, but they set the third one up as the kind of sign off. They've got all the original Jurassic Park actors who are still alive back in for it and kind of wrapped it up, I think, was the idea. Also, they got extraordinarily expensive, so I'm guessing this is a kind of a dial down of budget because it takes a leaf out of the Jurassic Park 3 approach where everything's scaled down. There's sort of fewer people in peril, a simpler story, lower, more relatable stakes. And so they're just kind of getting back to basics.
It sounds like, okay, this is a positive start then.
Yeah, which I didn't mind as an approach, but it doesn't have, at the same time, it doesn't bring anything new to the party. It feels like you're going through the motions again, albeit in a pretty looking film. Like Gareth Edwards directed this one, who did things like, the reboot of Godzilla, Rogue One, and Monsters. So he's a guy to go to for integrating VFX with real world stuff. And that, I don't know, you feel that at times in this, like there's a scene where a T-Rex is attacking a family on a raft on a river, and it's sort of splashing in and out of the water, and they're ducking under the water, and then it's sort of slamming its head underwater to grab them. And at no point are you thinking about the fact that river is probably CGI. The people are probably CGI half the time. The dinosaur is definitely CGI. It's really like well put together. But then there are other scenes where it feels like they're on the volume stage, where they have that kind of 360-degree soft lighting around them, and no one is as sweaty or covered in insects as they should be, considering they're out in a marshland. And so there's other bits that let it down. There's a bit in particular where they're next to some enormous, I'm not even going to guess what dinosaurs there are, huge herbivore dinosaurs, and they have these big swishing tails, and it's quite pretty the way they kind of swish around them, but no one looks remotely worried at any point. Like even if they're vegetarian dinosaurs, they're still enormous, unwieldy, unpredictable building size dinosaurs that you just think, I don't even like getting near a horse, and these things are 30 times the size, and everyone seems to be totally chill with them just swooshing their deadly tails around. I don't know. So there's bits that don't really convince, but they've got a good cast in. It's got Scarlett Johansson and Matthew Bailey and Mahershala Ali, and they're all kind of likable actors. So even though the characters are a bit thin, you're kind of on board with them. But it does kind of just go through the motions, really. It's just like a new lick of paint on an old dinosaur.
Sounds better than the previous ones I saw, though.
Yeah. Well, it's much simpler, and it's trying less hard to be like the original, I guess.
Okay.
And sort of retain, like the Jurassic World previous ones had a weird humor, and they tried to make the dialogue really snappy, and it didn't really work. And whereas in this one, they more or less talk like human beings do for the most part, and they take the situation moderately seriously. But it feels like a small entry in the franchise, really. I can't see how this is a launching point for more stuff. They haven't set up a Jurassic World, for its flaws, at least set up a new Jurassic Park that was bigger and more sort of wacky, whereas this is just an island with some dinosaurs on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I suppose it's not. I was going to say, is it called Jurassic Park? Because it's not a park anymore, but I suppose Jurassic World Rebirth makes sense.
It still did all right at the box office, though, right? But not as well. Yeah.
I think it's diminishing returns, and we'll see. It was occasionally thrilling, but it didn't make me laugh or cry or even think, really. So,
or even open my eyes. Have you cried in other Jurassic Park films then?
I cried when Samuel L. Jackson died, obviously.
Naturally.
No, in fairness. I'd have laughed at previous ones, and I've definitely been engrossed. But
you can be emotionally engaged with it, I suppose. But really, we're just talking about the first one, aren't we, really?
Yeah. I felt bad for the guy in Jurassic Park 2, who he's like a kind of a schlubby guy who then does some stuff who actually saves all of the heroes and then just gets mercilessly ripped in half by a couple of T-Rexes. I felt bad for him. I didn't cry, but I felt bad.
Did you clear your throat at least?
Yeah. I get that much.
Yeah, you moved some phlegm within your own body in reverence to him. I like that. Good. That's how a man deals with things.
Do you need to have seen the last Jurassic World film to watch this?
No, This is a pretty clean reboot. I mean, I think the island they go to is the same. No, it can't be, because that one got blown up by a volcano.
Oh, it's probably a new one.
It must be it's another new island. But it's also completely run down and covered in vines and decrepit. So it might as well be one of the old ones. I don't really know.
Right.
But no, you can just start fresh with this one if you want.
I'm not sure I do want to, but...
Yeah, I rented it. I wouldn't bother doing that. I'd wait until it's available.
Fair enough.
I watched a couple of movies I think we've already talked about, so I could quickly discuss them. I watched 28 Years Later.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't like that much.
Mm.
It wasn't. I don't think it was very good. I think it looked awful. I thought the editing was awful.
Don't talk me. The editing is better than the first film. Let me put it like that.
Okay, maybe
you can watch it without needing a sick bag.
And I thought some of the visual effects looked awful as well. Every time they went on that what's it called? Causeway. It was like they were in. It reminded me of the scenes in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where he goes to Valhalla and it's all slightly magical and purple. And it's like, why does it look like this? It just did not look like they were there. It was very
like they really ramped up the starry sky, didn't they? So it's sort
of very strange.
Yeah, there's also sweeping cameras on that. Yeah, I remember the sweeping cameras on that. Yeah,
which doesn't really gel with the kind of like raw wobbly
earthiness
of the rest of it. Yeah, I quite like the last third, I guess, but the first two thirds I just found them really sluggish, uninteresting. Gotta say.
Well, I did enjoy it more than you. Then I'm looking forward. I enjoyed it, and I am looking forward to the next one. So
I've heard the Bone Temple is better, so I'm intrigued by that.
And someone needs to watch it because no one else is.
Is it just? It seems a bit too soon somehow.
Yeah, I think they shot them at the same time or back to back, so I think that's why it's come so soon. But despite much stronger reviews, no one is bothering.
Oh dear!
Right. Which is going to kill the third one that they were planning, I think.
I'm not sure whether 28 years really with the very end, it doesn't really set it up that intriguing. Well, I was quite intrigued because I thought, wow, this is a total change of tone and everything.
Yeah.
And apparently, what's his name? What is his name?
Jack O'Connell.
Jack O'Connell is like the best thing about the second one. So it's like, okay, I think
he's often the best thing in the film he's in, especially like with the earlier horror films he was in. He's a very intense man. Yeah.
So I wasn't a big fan of that. I watched Wake Up Dead Man as well, which I think we discussed before.
Yes.
Oh, the Knives Out 3. Yes.
And I really, really liked that. I thought it was the best of the trilogy.
Oh, good. You're the only other person that I kind of enjoyed it as much as I did, I think. I know people who've turned it off after like 20 minutes.
Really? Huh. I mean, it is...
But yet they watched all of the second one. I don't know what that was.
It's much more somber and thoughtful than the other ones, but also I found it more subtly funny. I was laughing out loud for most of the first like half hour or something when he's like the priest is like meeting all
trying to ingratiate him with the sort of citizens. Yeah.
And his face when like they say something completely ridiculous and like it's just a slight grimace. Like, what are you talking about? I just found it really amusing. And
the bit that tickled me in that is where they're talking about the guy who played Moriarty, I forget his name, in the Sherlock Holmes films, and they say on the Sherlock Holmes TV show, and they say, he's panicking, he's built a moat around his house, and they go, a moat? And he goes, well, and as he says, well, I say moat, and it cuts to him just like smoking a fag and holding a hose in a ditch, basically. That made me laugh out loud.
I thought that Josh Brolin was brilliant, Josh O'Connell was brilliant, Glenn Close was brilliant. I'm not sure about Mila Kunis as the police chief. That's a strange bit of casting.
Is she a bad actor? That's the first time I've really seen her in anything, and she just stood out as like quite awkward in it.
I don't think she's nothing particularly terrible about it. It was a weird bit of casting. She just didn't feel like the right person for that role. So I don't think it's necessarily her fault.
No. She definitely has a place. She's been good in, like, she was really likable in whatever that film was. Something Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Yeah. And she was good in Black Swan, even though obviously Natalie Portman kind of blew her off the screen.
I just thought Wake Up Dead Man. Yeah, it was. I just thought it was really smart. And I got the sense that Josh Brolin's character is basically just Donald Trump, really, isn't he? He's like appealing purely to the most rapacious impulses of his like base, and just fueling their anger to maintain their blind loyalty. And of course, just demonizing and wildly overreacting whenever anyone questions his authority. So that was cool.
Speaking of overacting, Daniel Craig didn't mind putting his feet up towards the camera, did he? It was just, he was keen, but it just makes it, because it's got one of those plots you'll never be able to really sort of work out anyway.
Yeah,
although it is slightly more understandable, and logical than the second one. I'm kind of happy to go with it, and his ridiculousness kind of makes it, just sort of elevates it for me, because you just kind of smirk whenever he's on screen because you know it's just going to be ridiculous. I think they struck the perfect tone with this one.
I think so. I think this is bang on. Yeah, and I think. Well, my wife said she because Benoit Blanc is sort of in it less, but perhaps in this one it felt like it. She reckoned she wasn't sure that he even needed to be in the film, but I'm not sure. I think he was essential to the film, because the whole point is Benoit Blanc is like really like atheistic and skeptical about this whole thing, right? And then And yet, when all of the evidence just points to this young priest and his guilt, basically Benoit Blanc has got nothing except his faith in that priest's decency and goodness that keeps him from like settling on the conclusion of guilt, basically. And it's like, if he wasn't there, then the priest would have just owned up to a crime he didn't commit.
He was quite keen to own up to it, wasn't he, at the start?
He was, yes. But yeah, it's cool. And it was a long film that didn't feel long, which is always a good sign. Yeah. I think it wrapped it up nicely at the end, so boom. I like that a lot. I like it a lot.
If you were talking about a film that is long but didn't feel long, can I talk about a film that isn't particularly long but felt very long?
The flip side of the coin.
I watched Black Phone 2. Yeah, okay, full now. I know we've all seen the first one, and I think myself, I think this may have been, we talked about this before Lazlo joined the podcast sort of full time, became a salaried member of staff.
We're getting paid.
Oh yeah.
You haven't sent your bank details, have you?
Yeah, you haven't sent me your crypto details. So yeah, the original Black Phone, from memory, I quite liked it. Rupert did not.
I did not like that film.
I liked it. My love of Ethan Hawke kept me going. I like the sort of extreme dark humor in it, black humor, if you will, Black Phone humor. And although I'm not really one for the supernatural, it felt, because it was based on a short story, it felt sort of functional and foundational enough to keep me towards the end. It didn't get too sort of hairy-fairy and whimsical. And then the sequel came out, and I kind of forgot there was a sequel. And then we actually paid money for this, £5 for this, because Faye said, we like the first one, let's do this. And I thought, yep, no, just boom, let's get it on. And the film starts, it's 4 years after Finney, the kid from the first one, kills the grabber, which is Ethan Hawke's creepy masked character. And his sister starts having visions of dreams. His father... Oh my God, I think his name is the guy who plays his dad. What's his name? Jeremy Davis, right? He's in his mid-50s, right? I don't really know him from much. I'm assuming he's the kind of character that always plays like alcoholic hillbillies. In this film, his
slightly nervous, weedy guy.
He's a bit of a sort of absent father in this, but he has dyed his hair and his beard, guys. I'm just going to tell you. Because he's supposed to be like a ramshackle bloke in his 50s, sort of reeling from all the happenings in his family and his wife's apparent suicide. And he's just got like not a grey hair on his head. And he's just this like big bushy black beard, and it slipped back. It just looks preposterous. It's like, this man just he's kind of, can't kind of get it together, but he can regularly like successfully dye his hair then. On a regular basis. So, but anyway, he's the father. He's kind of he's a sort of tertiary element to the film. And so his sister Gwen is having these visions, and they end up going to this camp, this sort of alpine camp, where it just seems to be, I don't know where it is. I can't remember what they said it was in the film, but it's basically it just looks like Siberia. It is banging it down with snow, and there's just a blizzard, and there's only them and a couple of what are they called? Sort of not teachers, sort of people there at the camp, the supervisors, counselors. That's what I'm looking for.
So prison guards, one could say. It sounds like a gulag.
Yeah. So they're there, they're snowed in, and they keep having these dreams. And then about 50 minutes into the film, I don't want to spoil it because it is brand new. Ethan Hawke's character kind of comes back into the fold, and I was watching this film, and there's a lot of like teenagers who look like. We say that it's a film set in like a school, and you think he's in his mid-40s. He's got a full beard and 2 divorces behind him, and a son that doesn't talk to him who's in his early 20s.
You've seen Happy Death Day as well.
The worst example of that was that film. I think it was called In-Laws or something, with that girl who has a car accident, and so I think his name's something like Scott Quartermain, an English guy. He is in his late 70s, and he's supposed to be like 19. Anyway, so it's so it all kicks off, and I was saying to Phil, like, but these people in this film, they look really old. Like the brother and sister duo. For a start, I thought, well, she's playing his younger sister. or like a year or two, and she looks older than him. And I thought he must be like nearly 30. Do you know when people have like the bags under their, not the bags under their eyes, like with like puffy cheekbones on the outside part, if you know what I mean? I think he looks knackered. And I don't know if it's just makeup, but he's 18. The actor's 18 and the girl was 17. I thought, my God, they could both be 40 successfully. So I don't know if they were meant to do that or if they just, smoke or something. Anyway, I was watching the film, smoke plastic, and so they're in this thing, and by the time it got, they talk about the backstory. It's 4 years on, and they get into fights at school. They go to this camp, and it's a lot of like mooching around on this camp and meeting the counselors and looking at this very awful CGI scenery. It's very awful CGI, sort of everywhere in it. And I tend to say, can I just check? I don't want to pause it. I just want to press the button to see how long. It feels like it's been on for like an hour, and it was 25 minutes, and I thought, oh, this isn't good. And Ethan Hawke's character comes back into it, and he is good at playing this grabber character because he's got like a weirdly fragile voice, hasn't it? Ethan Hawke is kind of fractured, his voice, and sort of slightly husky, and because he's kind of talking behind a mask and its breath, it's kind of inherently creepy. And then at one point, Faye pointed out this. She said this film is just effectively like a budget version of Nightmare on Elm Street, like just it rips off like wholesale, like quite large parts of that film, and then I was like watching it and I thought, God, this looks really cheap. This film just strikes me as like a very cheap sequel. And there is, this is a tiny spoiler, but it was quite central to what, if I say this, it kind of sums up the approach of the whole film. There's a point where they say, the grabber must have, he killed 3 boys in this camp at one point in the past. And apropos of nothing, one of the group says, if we locate the 3 bodies, he will lose all of his powers, become human, and we can kill him. And it is based on nothing. It's just it's literally something someone said.
This is Stranger Things logic.
And they all go, oh, fantastic. All right, we know what to do now. And that kicks off the second half of the film. And I thought, hang on out, because you've just said that. Like in the horror films, usually like they at least meet an old gypsy will tell you this, or at least find a dusty book somewhere. Don't just say it and assume that and everything hinges on that like random sort of act of verbosity, and it does, and like the tensions obviously ramp up, and I thought no one has said why do we think this is going to work,
They don't lean on like the phone call. Like they don't get a phone call from some spirit who tells them what to do. Like they've established that happens in this world. They could at least do that, couldn't they?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of phone calls going on. Honestly, he spends more time on the phone than me when I'm complaining to Vodafone on the customer service team. And I just thought, but these phone calls, of course, in the first one, it had a very specific. They were kind of almost like it was like calling the Nintendo Power cheat line, wasn't it? In the first one, they were telling him how to sort of survive these murder attempts in this sort of area. Of course, in this, it's just constant ghostly phone calls, and it's sort of it does what I'm glad It Follows didn't do, in that it tries to expand on this lore that really it doesn't exist. It reminded me of like, the Mortal Kombat games. It's like people fighting and they try to insert all this lore and you think, no, this doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. And it feels like that. All of a sudden there's this lore to this whole thing and all these ghosts that's been going on for decades and the phone calls. And I thought this is really just bloated now and boring. And I'm watching people hang around on like in a boring camp and making these wild suppositions that exist purely to force the tired narrative forwards. And it finished. And it did ramp up at one point. It was like when things kick off, there was a good 20 minutes where I thought, I enjoy this. I just wish that it was a tighter film and it was just more grounded. And then afterwards, I was just looking at, and I was surprised. It's actually like not only been successful, but it's been quite critically lauded. And it reminded me of, do you remember Sinister, also by Scott Derrickson and starring Ethan Hawke, is one of my favourite films. And the music and everything, and the music in this is great as well, by the way. The music in this is very, very, very good. It's a genuine highlight. And it's actually the director's son as well, so it's a bit of a nepotistic thing, but it actually worked. Because when I saw his name come out, I thought, oh, that's weird. You've paid your son to do music in your film. Wonder where he got that job. But it's is phenomenal. It's very sort of Boards of Canterbury. But I thought that this was like marginally better than like Sinister 2, which was total cack. People seem to have really enjoyed it, and I thought maybe I just wasn't in the right frame of mind. But for me, I have no intention. I would probably never watch either film again, but this one I would especially avoid.
What is the backstory then? Is it like an ancient spirit? Well, it can't be an ancient spirit, can it? Because phones haven't been around that long. Unless it was like previously, it was just communicating via stone tablets or something.
It used to use a cup and a bit of string, like attached to another cup.
It's not. I don't want to spoil it. It's not so much that it's like this ancient monster. It's just all the decisions that are made and the history and like what the grabber's been up to and how it all ties back to these powers and explain what it can and can't do and how it ties into the family. And I just feel like, I don't know, I would have preferred it if it was just a tight, 90-minute and not a film that was 2 hours long. I felt 2 3/4.
They're doing an It Follows 2, where they're probably going to expand on it all in the same sort of way.
I've been hearing that for a long time.
Yeah.
Is it going ahead?
One of the producers, I remember read this years ago, that they said that, we're going to do what everyone wants, which is to like find out more about the origins of the monster. And I thought that's exactly what I don't want. I don't want that. Because it'll
not
just
something I was intrigued about.
I don't want endless like sort of like half-assed sort of exposition and suppositions, and then it boils down to like an interesting last 10 minutes. I want it to be a tight 90-minute.
A mysterious 90-minute, please.
Yeah. So there's nothing better in films than when people are running about panicking, not knowing what the fuck is going on. It's why I love about all the sort of 70s. I always forget the word for this. What's the word, Rupert, for the 70s thrillers? Like, I'm very tired today. I can't think straight.
Paranoid thrillers?
The paranoid thrillers, yeah. People smoking on the ends of bed, don't know what they're going to do next. That's the best parts of the film.
Yeah, it is. And like close-ups and they're really sweaty and their hair's plastered to their face. Good.
Yeah. Come on this boat and leave all your belongings on the beach. Okay.
All
right, well, I'll only tell you in the middle of the ocean. Okie dokie. Yeah, that's what I want. So yeah, I was disappointed with this, and it cost me a £5.
Just I'd make Faye pay you back if it was her idea.
Yeah, I think
it's only fair.
I'll just put a lot of her clothes on Vinted. I'll teach you.
That'll teach you to suggest nice things to do together.
It'll teach you to try to spend time with me. Yeah. Oh, do you want to come and watch a film with me, darling? Oh, hang on, let me just reinstall Vinted on my phone. Oh, this is such a wonderful husband.
I might as well take the pictures now, just in case.
Yeah. I'll miss the trailers. Let me just get the pictures up and do the descriptions.
Is it a premium rental? I'm just wondering how many items I need to photograph before we begin.
Yeah. So yes, the baton is for you, Lazlo.
On the plus side, she didn't make you watch Red Sonja, did she?
Oh my goodness!
Is that
I'm not talking about? I'm not talking about the 1980s one. I'm talking about the brand new one.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I didn't even know this was a thing.
It's a thing. So this is the latest and probably last attempt to bring Red Sonja to the screen. I didn't hate this film, but this has a lot of problems. It seemed like a foreign film that had been badly dubbed into English. I don't normally pay attention to this stuff, but every voice in this, including Red Sonja's, sounded like it had been post-recorded, and they'd added like a weird, inappropriate reverb to their voices. So even when she's just sat in a tent or out in a big wide open field, her voice is like echoing off something. It's weird. And Matilda Lutz is the main actress in this. I've not seen her in anything else, but in fairness, she does a kind of half decent job. It feels like she gave it her best shot with what she was given with anyway. And Robert Sheehan is in this as well, who you would probably recognize from UK TV and film things. He is bizarrely over the top as the baddie emperor with an accent that comes from every corner of the universe. And he sort of does that thing like, what's his name did in that other. What's his name did in that other film? You know the one.
Oh yeah.
No, where he like whispers and then suddenly shouts, and then he whispers and then suddenly shouts in an attempt to be frightening or unpredictable or whatever. Anyway, it's tosh, but
he doesn't look very frightening.
No, he's a kind of a small camp guy, but he's trying to play, leader of the new world or whatever. Anyway, this was a cheap film, in fairness to it, and I feel like they did a good job of putting that small budget on the screen. But there are clear compromises throughout the whole thing where, like sort of three people will walk past a tent and then it cuts to a huge wide shot and there's like a metropolis of castles and things, and they're just like in the bottom corner walking past that tent, and the rest is just CGI. And then it cut to them walking then into a tiny throne room sort of thing. You're like, okay, I see what you've done there. And it's not, so they don't seamlessly blend this stuff together. And it's also quite erratic in a number of ways, like the gore factor. There's moments where somebody will be like pumping blood out of their neck and it's fairly gruesome. And then other bits where somebody's about to get killed, they'll suddenly cut away and you hear a squelch and you're like, oh, okay. It pulls back in the weirdest of moments. So it feels like there's been some studio meddling to try and bring it down to a younger audience or something. So if you're hoping for something vaguely gritty or adult, you're not going to get that here. And also they kind of toned down her sort of sexiness, I guess, the sex factor of Red Sonja, like this sort of her, was it chainmail bikini thing is like, it turned into a joke in this, which, I mean, in fairness, I don't know how you would ever do it seriously, but she also plays a kind of a saintly figure, so she's sort of, it's all a bit tame. That all said, the awfulness didn't offend me. I just think that they could have, I just kind of wished that it was more like Arnie's Conan the Barbarian, where they go to real locations out in the desert or out in the mountains and everyone looks fucking cold or dirty or boiling hot depending on where they are, whereas in this everyone is impeccably groomed and well fed and their costumes look a bit cosplay and it looks like they're filming in the woods behind the sort of Hungarian industrial state where the production was probably based. So if you're really bored and want to watch something which has some swords in it and a pretty girl, you could watch this. But it's not great.
Bulgaria, apparently.
Oh, it's close.
Right. This is a bit of a mystery to me because I remember it being a thing that was going to happen, but the whole release of it completely slipped me by. I don't know where it was released in the cinema.
It's gone straight to Prime. It's on Prime if you want if you're interested. It's from the I think it's a woman. The director's called MJ Bassett, and I think it's the same person who did Solomon Kane, which is why I was curious, because that was a film that felt like it sort of batted above its league a little bit. But this, again, they've, like I said, it was a meager budget of something like 17 odd million, and it feels more expensive than that, but it can't hide the fact that you need more money than a well-spent 17 million to make a really pleasing historical fantasy epic.
Well, it doesn't sound like a complete miss, but
no.
I don't know. There's a lot of choice out there, guys.
It's a most miss.
Okay, that's on Prime.
Yeah.
I watched The Apprentice. I'm sure I've talked about this before, but apparently not. This is the Donald Trump biopic on Netflix. Have I talked about this?
Not
I don't think
that
so.
I can recall.
No. Okay. Anyway, well, I will now anyway. It was made in 2024. Biopic by Donald Trump, specifically around the 70s and 80s era, focusing on his relationship with Roy Cohn. And basically, it starts with Donald Trump is seeking legal counsel on behalf of his father, Fred Trump, He's been accused of racial discrimination in a real estate deal, and Cohn sorts it out by blackmailing the prosecutor, because that's the kind of guy Roy Cohn is. He's essentially a mob boss, and he takes Donald under his wing, shows him a good time, and encourages his worst impulses, really. Most of the first 2/3 of the film are Roy Cohn doling out advice, which, of course, we, the audience, instantly recognise in our esteemed president. It's a bit on the nose and a bit shallow. It's like, oh, here's a scene where Donald Trump learns never to apologise. So I think it's like, okay, got that. Definitely recognise that.
Does he also teach him his stock catchphrases and things as well?
He's a bit like
go that far?
He's a bit like, it's like ticking boxes for a good part of it. The third act is a bit more interesting because this is when the relationship between Donald and Roy is collapsing, and Donald Trump is on the rise and Roy is on the wane, and Roy Cohn has a terminal illness, definitely not AIDS, and he's sort of expecting some kind of sympathy or empathy from Donald, but by this point he's just drained Donald Trump of all his humanity. And so the film kind of essentially switches from this snappily edited mob movie and becomes this tragic drama. Trump himself thought the film was defamatory, but clearly didn't have enough of a case to take it anywhere. I'm not really sure how he could, because even his most controversial scene is one where Donald Trump rapes Ivana, and which is just based on the divorce records, apparently. So there you go. I started to wonder. I was looking into this, right, and because I didn't know whether it had won awards, and it didn't win an Oscar, I don't think, but it did win the equivalent of Best Picture Oscar at the Robert Awards, I think they're called, which is the Danish Oscars. And I thought to myself, is this why Donald Trump is coveting Greenland so aggressively? because the Danes awarded, or was it, mind you, does it belong to Denmark or is it Norway? I can't remember.
Denmark.
But anyway, it got me thinking, because he was obviously well pissed off about this film. It is a decent film, to be fair. It's well made, and it's got two great central performances, Sebastian Stan and Jeremy Strong especially. But narratively, it does feel like it's going through the motions for a good chunk of it. There's a lot of period appropriate needle drops and sordid parties and flagrant corruption. And it is quite obviously a hit job on Trump. He really doesn't come out looking good on anything in the movie. For example, there's a relationship with his alcoholic brother, who ended up dying. And I thought this might show Donald Trump in a kind of vaguely a good light, but now, when his brother is destitute and needs somewhere to stay, Donald Trump just turns him away, and in case it affects his brand. Nice. But yeah, ultimately, it's really just visualizing kind of what everyone already knows, stuff that some find unconscionable, some find problematic, and some just don't care about. But given Trump's current status, I'm not sure it's going to move anyone into a different bucket. But it is well made, and it's got good performances. Just nothing particularly surprising.
Does he visit a certain island at any point?
Kind of do not mention that part of it, weirdly. I
probably would have made a lot more money if they had.
I'm not sure whether it goes up to that period quite. It kind of stops in the 80s at some point. I don't know when.
I slightly resent that they've cast Sebastian Stan as Trump, because he's clearly much, much better looking than Trump. But
that is true. Yes.
Yeah, but they couldn't cast a potato with a load of shit rubbed on it, could they? So they'd have to get an actual human.
Orange shit, yeah.
Yeah.
A potato that's been painted orange.
You'd have to. Do you remember the? I know I'm a tiny bit younger than you two, but do you remember the meningitis vaccine that made you quack orange? So they could have done that. They could have given someone some meningitis vaccine from the 90s, and then they could have just squirted it out in a potato and said, "Oh, there you go." And then Sebastian Stan can just do the voice acting. Just put a bit of hay on the top, and off you go.
Bit of hay on an orange potato.
we try to be politically impartial in this podcast.
Yeah, we've only got the budget of Red Sonja, unfortunately, so it'll have to be a potato, some dry grass on top.
Yeah. Is it me now?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Well, this is coming right. Well, yeah. I only really the only thing I wanted to talk about quickly was I've got a few little Savalas things, which is unusual for me. But I just wanted to quickly talk about Home Alone 1 and 2. This was something I was going to mention in our Christmas episode, but we've just got caught for time, as we always do. So I watched Home Alone with my son for the first time. Loved the traps, and you could explain to him what was going on with. Did we talk about this last time? As I'm talking now, I feel like I talked about it last time on the podcast.
I think we briefly talked about it, but I don't think we went into detail about the juxtaposition between the two films.
Yeah. Okay. So watched the first film, enjoyed it. It's easy to follow. My son, who's 4, understood, that they've separated from him and they want to get back to him. And I still see, as much as I know there's the new documentary. John Candy's a wonderful, wonderful man. I really just think he adds nothing to this film. It's a really bizarre and funny cameo, and of course I sold this to my son by saying there's a bit where the boy does traps, and I forgot how brief that sequence is. It's brief, and yet it's absolutely still amazing. And it makes me laugh out loud at every single thing that happens because I'm a lover of slapstick. Anyway, so watch the first one. I'm sure everyone listening to this podcast has seen that film more than 40 times. And it's a solid gold, sentimental, but fun and kind of ageless Christmas film, right? Because it deals with such sort of simple sort of tenets of humanity that everyone can relate to.
And the bit where he puts the spider on Daniel Stern's face.
He kind of does like a pre-scream, he instantly screams and then gasps like it's almost like he's having a heart attack with fear. And also when he steps on the nail and lifts his foot up, and there's almost like a Tarzan, like Johnny Weissmuller scream as he falls down the stairs. It's such gold. I could just talk about those sequences for hours. And then I watched it and I was struck again by the fact that his father lives in this palatial home in the center of like upstate New York, and you're telling me that he doesn't have any friends, employees, or colleagues he could call to say, "Can you go around and just make sure my son's all right?" It was ridiculous. But anyway, pushing that aside, and then the next day I said, "There's actually like a sequel to this film." I didn't mention the third and fourth one. We've covered the fourth one on this podcast before, and if a cinematographer, a director, and an editor can't make someone falling off a wall funny, then I'm not watching the rest of the film. So put the second one on, and I've watched the second one over the years, but I've never watched it with a kind of a critical, like paid attention to it, if that makes sense. And it's awful, and it kind of rips the guts out of what makes the first one good, because in the first one, they leave him at home because they miscount, and it's only when they're on the plane. On the plane, separated from their children on a plane. It's like, okay, I don't think that would happen. But in the sequel, they lose him in an airport. Not leave him at home, lose him in an airport, which is far more dangerous, isn't it? Because that's very, very bad, and you have no idea, like, if he's alive, if he's been kidnapped, if he's still there, if he's with. And he, obviously not with the authorities, because they would contact you. So it's much more urgent that they get back and try and find out where he is. And yet when they land wherever they landed, and they go to the sort of authorities, they're making jokes about it, like, "Oh, we left him there, but we never forget our luggage," and it makes them look as if they're like this whole thing is a joke, and it's callous, and it removes all of the stakes and the emotional involvement. And even my 4-year-old son said, "Oh, Daddy, why aren't they sad? Why are they laughing?" And I thought, well, and he wrote the script, so I said, well, it's your fault, isn't it? But
we have definitely talked about this, because I remember talking about the callousness, but I don't give a shit, because it needs to be underlined.
And then when they goes to the hotel, in the first film, everyone is kind of, they might have their foibles, but they're inherently like good people, apart from the two bad guys and like the uncle who's a bit rough. Yeah. But in the sequel, almost every adult character is horrible and hostile. Mm-hmm. apart from the sentimentality, which is even more jarring with the woman in the park, which is just a rehash of the old bloke, the neighbor at the first one, but without as much of an emotional impact or sort of practicality on the story, really, of an impact. So everyone is like, you've got Tim Curry, who's like sneaking into the hotel room and like watching a man shower for a long time. And you've got Rob Schneider trying to rip him off for money, and I just thought, this is just a really unpleasant film. And my son lost interest about half hour in, and I just kind of turned it off and started playing Hot Wheels with him because I thought I had no idea how awful this film was. And apparently, we didn't get to the traps part, and apparently that's like is amazing. But I don't want to have to sit through that to get to it.
The traps are good in the second one. I mean, it doesn't quite make sense why he ends up where he does, but they're kind of, it goes on for longer and they're actually more violent than the first one. Like things which should just genuinely just kill them outright, and it is funny, and there's still, the reactions are funny, so it's probably worth it just for that. But my God, there's a lot to slog through, isn't there?
Yeah, and I'm as far as I'm concerned, this is like you with Indiana Jones. I'm never watching the third and fourth ones. They just don't. Well, to be honest, everything apart from the first one is surplus to requirements.
Yep.
So yeah, I have no interest in ever watching that film ever again.
I haven't seen the second one for a really long time, but you've cured me of the idea of watching it again.
No, it's kind of everything that is good about it is just a complete rehash of the first one. But then everything that's bad and negative and unpleasant about it is it completely, it kind of changes the characters. There's just no need to watch anything apart from the first one.
Yeah, it's so bad it actually retroactively makes the first one worse. So like, oh, this is the people they really are.
Is it the third one or the fourth one? I think it might be the fourth one, where they bring back that family and they've got divorced and stuff. Like but it's different actors as well. Like they've just basically called them the same name.
I think I only made it to 3.
Yeah,
the fourth one has got an English kid in it. Is the main guy?
Yeah,
and it's got that. Oh, it's not Rob Riggle or another man who's not very funny, but it's got a really, you'd know he's got like a broad-faced all-American character, kind of like Patrick Warburton, that kind of vibe. But the third one has got French Stewart in it from Third Rock from the Sun, if that rings any bells.
Is it the third one the one where it's got like a nuclear missile guidance system or something the bad guys are after? There's like a weird beginning bit where they're doing like an arms deal and stuff, and you're sitting there going, is this a kid's film? Have I watched the wrong thing? Like, what are kids getting out of this?
Yeah,
it's quite, that childhood innocence is kind of a bit lost. No.
Are the wet bandits in the second one? Do they escape prison? And how the hell do they
bump into him in New York?
Just happen to bump into him.
Just bump into him. Yeah,
sounds perfect.
It's dreadful.
And Donald Trump appears in that, of course.
Of course he does. So there's a little time, but
is it really him, or was it a potato with straw on it?
With some meningitis medicine, like diarrhea squirted over it, and some hay on the top. It's hard to tell. I'd have to watch it again.
Yeah,
I think they just caught him on that day. He was just on his way to the changing rooms to sexually assault someone.
This is good. This is going to turn into every time we reference the Russian envoy Steven Seagal, isn't it?
Russian envoy. Aikido cheat Steven Seagal.
You awful abusive husband, Steven Seagal. So, Lazlo, are you going to talk about Home Alone 4?
Yeah, I know. I'm going to talk about The Hit, which is a film from 1984, directed by Stephen Frears. Can you guess what streaming service I saw this on?
I'm going to say Prime. I'm going to come up with Prime there.
It was Amazon Prime, indeed. So this has got Terence Stamp, John Hurt, a young Tim Roth, and somebody called Laura Del Sol, who is pretty, but I have never seen her in anything else. But I was here for the Stamp, Hurt, and Roth factor. And this is a sort of crime thriller, I guess. It misleadingly opens in a kind of a scuzzy 1970s England with grey council estate buildings and a drab courtroom and crappy cars and people with floppy haircuts and suits and stuff. And I was on the edge of turning it off after the first few minutes because I thought this is not I was expecting a kind of an American crime thriller. Anyway, it gets much better after the first 5 minutes or so. So Terence Stamp is a crook called Willie who's grassing on all of his gangster chums and gets to go into witness protection whilst they go to prison. So then after that scene, it jumps forward 10 years and he's now living in Spain in hiding. And this is where the main part of the story takes place. So then a couple of hitmen played by John Hurt and Tim Roth catch up with him and grab him, and they have to escort him to Paris from Spain to to face his former boss, who's going to make him answer for betraying him. And it's essentially a road trip.
This sounds really good.
Yeah, well, it gets better as it goes along. Not dissimilar to Cohen and Tate, weirdly, where they're like Roth is an itchy-triggered kind of young hothead, and John Hurt is a kind of wiser, quieter guy who has to deal with his hothead partner and Terence Stamp playing mind games with him the whole way. And Terence Stamp is like, despite being a crook who's been on the run, he goes into a sort of a Zen accepting death kind of mode. So he's always like got funny remarks to make, or he philosophizes about things, even though he's essentially being taken to his death. And he makes them both kind of rethink their whole approach to life. So then Tim Roth, they end up with this young woman who they end up having to bring along because she's a witness, and they're planning to bump her off en route somewhere. But then Tim Roth starts having feelings for her, and they all kind of turn into a weird pseudo family where they're all just sort of at each other's throats but connecting in weird ways. So yeah, it feels its age. It's just from the 80s, and it's not like a glossy production. But after the first sort of 10 minutes or so, which felt quite shoddy, it then gets, when they're in Spain, there's lots of crane shots and steady cam shots and really nice countryside kind of compositions, and it kind of falls into its own groove and it's oddly poignant at times, and it felt, I guess it reminded me a bit of Sexy Beast. I don't know if it's just the Spain setting, but the offbeat gangster dialogue and then a hint of a kind of a mythic subtext. It sort of felt like it could exist in the same world as that film. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed this. I don't want to say where it ends up because I didn't expect it to end the way it did. They don't even make it to France, but it doesn't play out in a way that you would think, which also lends itself to a very funny sort of upending of a lot of the themes it's laid out get kind of flipped on its head near the end, which did make me laugh.
Two quick questions. John Hurt and Terence Stamp both have fantastic voices, but this is when they're quite sort of early mid-career. Does that come through? Because John Hurt's got that wonderful rasp, and Terence Stamp has got like a really sort of glassy voice, if you know what I mean, like a very sort of soft voice. Yeah, that must add to it if it's a very narrative-driven film. And the other thing is the music complete shit because it's by Eric Clapton and Roger Waters. And
I did make a note. I didn't realize he did it with someone else, so I just made a note that like Eric Clapton's score flicks between being playful, mournful, and distractingly inappropriate.
Yeah,
so I'm guessing that's maybe where the other guys stepped in, or vice versa.
I think they only did the title theme, to be fair.
Oh, title theme. Because every time I've seen like Eric Clapton or any guitarist, right, do a theme in the 80s, it's always just, it's really basic guitar bends with like a bit of reverb. It's like, wow, and you think, right, that's the opening note. Oh no, that's all you're going to do, is it? Okay, how much do you get paid for that? Yeah, so I just wondered if it was just going to be that, where it's just like, okay, it's just really sort of minimalist guitar.
Yeah, it's got like the odd guitar twang, and there's a lot of like Spanish guitar bits in there, somewhat predictably. Yeah, so there's bits where it really felt like it worked for the moment and the drama, and then there's other bits where you're just like going, what is this music doing? It's not serving this scene at all. So yeah, it was a mixed bag.
I'm might have to watch this.
Yeah, this is appealing to me. Mark Knopfler did the music for The Princess Bride, of course.
I can't remember.
It was good in parts, but it did have some real synth crap in it as well, awful.
Yes,
I
remember that
score. But yeah, the guitar work was nice, I think.
Synth is it just something about where they use synths in a jaunty way that does when it's long notes, it works quite well.
When it's
when they go dee doo 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 dee doo 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 on a synth, it sounds really bad.
It's when it's sort of trying to emulate an orchestra. It's very noticeably how bad it is. Whereas, like you say, if it's just a long padded kind of chord or something,
when it's used as texture and color as opposed to a lead instrument.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Also, for a fantasy film, the synthesizer just seems
quite.
a bit off.
You need a fucking flute. Get a load of flutes in there. Kick everyone else out.
We'll use a synthesized flute like in kickboxing. Even though the image on the screen has someone playing an actual flute.
That's amazing. You'll never beat Gary Busey remembering having sex with a woman on a beach, and the sex scene is overlaid with him in the skyline playing saxophone. When they suggested that.
Where's that from?
Oh, I think it might be. Is it
Bulletproof?
Bulletproof? Yeah, I was going to say not that one or that one.
Oh god, okay, I saw that one.
Right. And weirdly, on the saxophone, he's doing an instrumental version of Bulletproof by the LaRue, which is even more off-putting.
I like that song.
Is Bulletproof the one where he's got a jar full of bullets that he's been shot with over the years?
Yeah.
Yeah, what you mean instantly offsetting the title of the film itself, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, he should be called Bullet Magnet, really.
I've got a Gary Busey film on my list. It's unreal, peak Busey. We'll see if we get to it though, because I'm sticking to what order I watched them in, and I only watched it at the weekend.
I really hope I've seen whatever film it is, because I went through a phase a few years ago watching his films. But sorry, it's Rupert now, isn't it? Sorry,
I watched Christine. I paid for this because it was $3.99. Christine being the film John Carpenter made in 1983 after the box office disappointment of The Thing. And I think even he dismisses it as a director for hire gig. But I think there's some stuff to like about it. It portrays Arnie, played by Keith Gordon.
I've got to say, whenever this conversation comes up, I cannot understand how The Thing failed. It is one of the best films ever made. I will never understand that.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was it? Because I know it came out at the same time as E.T., same year as E.T. and Blade Runner. It may have gone up against one of them. In fact, probably E.T., wasn't it? Because I don't even think Blade Runner did particularly well at box office first time around, did it? So, yeah. I think it may have been up against E.T., in which case it was fucked. Anyway, Christine. It's about Arnie. So this nerdy college kid with a jock best friend. And Arnie's kind of dismissed by everyone, but his best friend's very popular. And then Arnie buys Christine, which is a fiery red Plymouth Fury, and he repairs it. And he becomes cool. And he gets the hot girl that his best friend wanted. But the car is homicidal, and it becomes an avatar for all of Arnie's repressed rage. And yeah, this isn't Carpenter's best movie, but it is very atmospheric, and there's some good performances. I really enjoyed Harry Dean Stanton as a cynical detective. That was fun. One of the stars, the jock guy, John Stockwell, he went on to become a director. Do you remember Dark Tide?
I'll leave a type in.
This was the one with Halle Berry in it. And the entire last third of the movie was just you just.
Oh, that was crap! I remember you saying it was crap. Yeah, I remember you saying it was crap.
Terrible. He also made Kickboxer Vengeance in 2016, Anyway, back to Christine. Yes. I think the core problem with Christine is that a demon car just isn't very scary, because you can kind of quite easily avoid it, and you don't actually need to get into it. So, kind of bypass that part. And I think the more interesting elements of the film are the relationship really between Arnie and his best friend, the way that the balance of power swings towards Arnie once he's found his mojo. And I think John Carpenter's a bit caught between the horror elements and this central tragedy. I think a modern director might do a better job of focusing on the character dynamics and the way that Arnie's dropped friend feels this unbreakable sense of loyalty, even though he could easily just walk away and desert him when he starts going bonkers. I think Blumhouse were going to do a remake of this, actually, but nothing has yet to materialize. And it all comes to a very schlocky and predictable ending. And I'd say overall it's definitely the weakest of Carpenter's 80s output because it's such an amazing period. But I think it's worth watching if it pops up for free on one of the streaming channels, which it shall at some point, let's face it. So, and it is a Stephen King adaptation. I suspect a Stephen King book from his period that he doesn't remember, should we say?
What are you talking about when he did this and then Maximum Overdrive? I remember I watched this film within the last 6 years and I cannot remember a single scene of it, which is telling.
Yeah. It's not, because the kill scenes tend to be quite drawn out, and it usually involves someone like just thinking the car looks amazing, so they'll just get into it, and then they'll just get gassed or something like that, or they'll there's a scene where it's been kind of like smashed up by bullies or whatever, and then someone watches it repair itself, which is a really cool thing. I mean, it's just reverse footage, it's fun to see, but it was a pretty cool effect anyway, and that was cool. But of course, then he's just like, "Oh, now I'll get into it." And it's like you've just seen this car magically repair itself, and you're just going to climb into it and have a go on the radio. I quite like the way that it kind of taunts people by turning on the radio and playing really jaunty 50s rock and roll. That was quite a nice touch. It is atmospheric because it's Carpenter and he's so good at building mood, but I don't know, as far as monsters go, it's a car. So
just go up some stairs and you get away from it, really.
Yeah. Really, or just go to the side of it. There's not much it can do.
It doesn't do things like where its wheels turn horizontally and drive sideways.
No, it doesn't really do anything
cool.
It's just definitely a car, and Stephen King's done some kind of high concept stuff for it. It's like a simple you think about Cujo, where it's just literally it's a dog, it's a bad dog, and it wants to kill people, and that's fine. That works because it's something relatable, isn't it? It would be scary to be chased by a rabid Saint Bernard, so that works. But a car, it's not really a universal fear, is it? A nice red car.
I mean, I'm not keen on the idea of being run over, but
no.
I don't think cars are scary inherently.
No, and it's the person driving it you're probably more worried about.
Yeah. On the subject of unthreatening robotic things, should I talk about Tron Ares?
Oh, yes. Funny enough, weirdly, Faye said, can we watch the original Tron a couple of weeks ago, and then she never said anything else about it, so I'll have to do that. I've never seen it.
I'd like to set this up just by saying I love the original Tron, and I learned to love Tron Legacy, and yet I have absolutely no interest in Tron Ares. Why is that?
Sensible. You're sensible and wise. Although, I mean, you might like it because I think the first Tron, I've tried to watch it a couple of times and I find it very boring. But visually kind of fun. I really like the second one. And this one I did not care for much at all. So this is a different director. They basically went for another semi-reboot after the second one. So there are threads that remain from that one, but none of the cast return, with the exception of I was going to say Jeff Daniels. That's not Jeff Daniels.
Oh.
Jeff
Bridges.
Jeff Bridges. Thank you.
Jeffy Weffy.
This one has got nice visuals and a cool soundtrack by Nine Inch Nails, but it feels like an empty vessel, much like its leading man in a way. So the story-wise, it's they've worked out how to 3D print things from the world of the grid, which we know from the previous films, and bring them into the real world, and including walking and talking people, which they don't really go into how that works. But anyway, they always crumble into pixel dust after exactly 29 minutes. So there's these two corporations who are racing to find the permanence code that will enable their grid creations to last forever in the real world. One of them wants it for war, and the other one presumably wants it for peace, but they don't really explain that. I think she wants to maybe grow trees with it or something. It's not, I don't know, they don't go into it. There are a number of plot points in this that I was none the wiser about by the time the film was over. But anyway, Jared Leto plays Ares, who is like a sentient program designed as a super soldier, but through his experiences with the female owner of the Goody Corporation, he decides that actually he's more interested in living in the real world in peace and being free. So that the main plot is him in the real world trying, and he's got like 29 minutes each time to try and get hold of this code, and he's helping this woman try and find it. And her sister invented it, but then died and hid it somewhere, and they don't know where it is. Whilst the bad guy is constantly creating new things to chase them down, Terminator style. Sounds quite cool, but it's quite boring. It's just sort of leaden. Like, they bring in things to the real world that are then like less effective than just a helicopter would be, you know, like a really slow flying ship that doesn't seem to be able to hit anything with any of its weapons and just eventually gets shot down. You're like, well, yeah, it's like, it's not a fighter jet is going to kill that thing in an instant. So it's not really, the advantages of these things are not apparent, other than that they can just keep recreating them endlessly, I suppose. Anyway, yeah, so most of this film takes place in the real world, which is boring, and they just interject the occasional bits of fancy stuff. I think Jared Leto is badly miscast because he's written as a kind of a stoic, monosyllabic sort of super soldier, but then he's supposed to play kind of fish out of water, almost comedy scenes where he's fascinated by the real world and nature, and it just doesn't hang together. And it's not helped that the leading lady that he's with, I didn't actually make a note of her name, but she's kind of a blank canvas as well. And so it's got two miscast leads in the story that is essentially, it's all just a bit boring.
Neither of them sounds like they've got a personality.
No.
This is what
and she is meant to inspire him to want to be a real boy and, you know, and be peaceful, but she's the head of a tech corporation. She's hardly like a great role model. You know, if he'd met, I don't know, someone who worked with kids, or like was, you know, involved in trying to save the world from an ecological point of view or something, I don't know, something aspirational, then maybe it would have played a little better. But apparently, I read about afterwards that this was originally conceived as it was going to be a sequel to Legacy, and the main characters were going to carry on through Thingy Flynn, his son. Sam Flynn was going to be the main characters, and Ares was going to be a sort of Terminator-style killing machine sent to catch them, and then he learns his humanity. And they basically...
Sounds like a better movie.
Yeah, when they shelved it, Leto then proposed a reworking of the story where he was the lead, and his
He's
character.
also the producer of the film, so
yeah. And it just doesn't work. It's missing a heart at the center of it all. And Jeff Goldblum, fucking hell. Jeff Bridges.
Stop talking about other Jeffs. Jeff
Why are there so many Jeffs? I never thought about it before. He turns up for like a 5-minute cameo. But what they've also done is when they are in the grid, they've applied like a robotic echo to everyone's voices. So, and between his like bushy beard and his kind of talking like this anyway.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I couldn't understand a word he said. It was all quite disappointing. But yeah. So anyway, it's slick visually. The soundtrack is cool. Although I have listened to the soundtrack in isolation, and it doesn't really stand up without the visuals either. Yeah. It's a lot of drony stuff. So I think all in all, a big old bomb.
I think all men hit a point if they live long enough when they're in like their late 70s where they sound like they've got a load of dark chocolate in their mouth that they're eating and they're really thirsty. It hits that point.
It's talking through peanut butter or something.
Peanut butter budget $220 million.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What do they say? What's the rule with that? You 220 million, and they say, "What's that? Don't you times that by
half
2
again for
the marketing?"
Yeah,
bloody hell. So that's 15 quid then.
I mean, something like that, you'd end up having to, and you only get half the receipts from this. Basically, you'd have to make 500 at least to break even, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
What's his name? James Cameron said Fire and Ash had to make $1 billion to break even. I don't know if I believe that, but
it's astonishing, isn't it?
It's just saying things. But yeah, it grossed 142 million, so which is a pity because it feels like they may have killed the franchise for good.
Again,
which is a pity. Yeah, because that's a real disappointment. There's a decent animated TV series called Uprising.
Is Jared Leto a problem? Do you think?
Yeah. What? His existence? Or?
Yeah, just in general, and the things he does.
He's weirdly loathed, and I'm not quite sure what people have got such a thing against him.
You haven't listened to 30 Seconds of Mars, right? Okay,
well, I mean, being untalented but it's like a hatred of him. But things like this don't help, do they?
No.
Well, his Joker was bad. Like his band are like, and I think it's his perception of himself as well that doesn't help.
Yeah, I guess there is that. You just
so, like if you look at people who are like problematic in the industry and are painted in a bad light, someone like say Shia LaBeouf. But I like him because he seems to be like one day he will be a cantankerous old man that follows his muse. Right, that's what he was just doing what he wants, and I wouldn't want to work with him.
Self-deprecating, to a fault, and I just can't see that with someone like Jared
Leto. He just seems someone who is irritating in his sort of self-love. Yeah, I just remember watching one of his music videos where he's walking down a road with a white horse singing bad lyrics, and I thought, oh my goodness. No. Oh, it's me now, isn't it?
It is you.
I'm going to do two very swift Savalas things. I'm watching Fallout at the moment. Obviously, a big fan of the games. Waiting for Ron Perlman to turn up. Not going to lie to you. And I just want to say that I'm really enjoying it. And it's like quite close. It's obviously doing its own thing, but it's got such a good set design. And it's almost like a Monster of the Week thing because every episode you see in new sort of things or hints from the game series, and it looks great. Not yet. Or Ron Perlman, the two things I really want to see. But some of the CGI is not up to par. Like especially some of the sort of the T-60 power suit is great, but there's one buzzing monster with a lot of like human fingers in its mouth, which made me think, oh dear. But it's like really bright pink, and it just looks like I felt like I was watching Spawn from 1997. And I thought, wow, this is like very bad, very like sort of like it's just pasted on with no shadowing on it at all, just like this bright pink thing.
Are they shot in broad daylight? Because that was an issue with Alien
Yes,
Earth as well.
it's a bright. It's in the middle of the day. That scene was, yeah.
Why do they keep doing that?
But yes, so really enjoying that. About 4 episodes in, and obviously Walton Goggins is in it. Good. And the other one is WWE Unreal. I'm a sort of very casual wrestling fan, and this Unreal is a show where it sort of goes. It's supposed to be a sort of behind the scenes expose you see in the writers' room. You see them sort of setting up matches. This is the second season of it, and the first season I quite enjoyed because it was interesting to see like how they put the matches together. I mean, it is just a load of blokes in a room chatting, admittedly, and then when things go wrong in matches and how they deal with injuries, and it felt a little bit sort of set up, but a lot of it you could tell by the reactions of the wrestlers, like when things are going wrong or when they talk about how they've always wanted to be there, and it's kind of they finally get the big WrestleMania moment, and I enjoyed it as a background show. I thought, this is cool. And I went at the second one, and it's just I may as well be watching Selling Sunset, because now you have people having these like supposedly very private, awkward conversations with their cameras shooting through groups of people as a ring is being set up, and yet they're fully mic'd up. And just, and they're like, it's blurry and like focusing on them like 30 feet away, but you can hear every word they're saying because they're clearly wearing microphones. And
wow.
And like they've got these things where things to get the fans talking, like they'll be talking in the sort of creative writing room setting the matches, but there'll be very clear shots of whiteboards in the background with matches that because it's obviously set in 2020, looking at stuff back in 2025, matches that didn't happen but exist purely to get fans online talking about it. And I just thought I'm just watching a reality show now. It's not you. And I think there's 5 episodes, each like 45 minutes long, and I would say I fast forwarded so much that I watched about an hour and a half of it, and I thought, I don't know who this is for, because you're not seeing like a sort of rags to riches story or someone dealing with an injury. It's just a lot of it is just people talking about their families and stuff, and
wow.
or like setups and things that obviously like really forced and augmented. And I thought, I don't know what this is for now. I just went off it really quickly. So it's just to tell people to not watch it because it's crap and staged and it does nothing. So yeah, that was really disappointing.
Like wrestling then.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like wrestling, the sort of fun of it is watching the event. It's all set up. You just watch the sort of the performative side of it and enjoy that and the characters. But now you're watching it and it's removed from that again because it's like a back. So you're not watching an exciting performance of like athletes with like the stories in the ring, and you can enjoy the performative side of it. You're watching people having pretend conversations about it, sitting around a table. Yeah. It's like, what is this? What is this for? So yeah, it's just boring and bizarre.
Like when they add plot to porn films, kind of thing, in a way. Like,
yeah, we know. Look, if Fridge is fucked, you're going to shag her. Boom.
Yeah. We know what we're here for. Like, we don't. You're not actual actors. Let's not.
Yeah, we don't need
not
context,
indulge.
guys.
You don't need context. You need condoms. Context and condoms. I think we've just come up with the episode title. We just make a note of that. I had a few down. I had sensible and wise, an orange potato with some hay on top, and context and condoms. I quite like the context and condoms.
Let's put it to a poll. Have either of you seen the TV show, as we're talking about Savalas, have you seen Paradise?
Yes.
No.
I like this show. It was ridiculous, but I liked it. That's all I'm going to say about that.
That's probably
I fancy Sterling K. Brown and James Marsden. So,
yeah.
James Marsden it doesn't appear to age, does it? Sorry, go on.
It does not.
I was just going to say, I remember when I was watching that, it got my back up slightly at the beginning because I was looking at their houses and going, what kind of fucking house is that? No one has a garden like that. No one has like walks around these places and greets everyone on their street and stuff. And I thought, this is ridiculous. And then,
like,
it entirely made sense when you find out they're all living in a dome and they're all
in a
living
Truman Show
in a fabricated
dome,
neighborhood. Like, okay.
Yeah,
yes,
it was very gripping, and like, especially towards the end, it hastens. It's because it's quite slow, and then it hastens rapidly towards the end in a way that suggests they weren't sure whether there's going to be a second season. But that's fine because it means it's quick. You can just get through it. Boom, done. None of this 2-hour finale bullshit. Yeah, I like that. Paradise on Disney Plus. Shall I do another movie?
I think it's Laszlo's turn. But yeah, whichever one of you two want to jump in now.
Is it? Oh, I've lost track. I don't mind.
Yeah, because it was me talking about things, so it's Lazlo then Rupert. If we are going to, follow the rules that we've set down in concrete, I don't know if you want to do that or not.
I mean, it is in a written contract, I suppose.
I signed. I just assumed you'd be okay with me signing it.
I'm signing it in
if we want to get paid, we've got to fulfill the terms of the contract.
We haven't had any sponsorship for a while. Sorry, go on. I was just thinking of that.
I watched Nuremberg for a laugh. Have you guys heard of this one? This is a new film with Russell Crowe playing.
Crowe one.
Yes, Hermann Goering.
I do like Russell Crowe.
Do you like Rami Malek? Because he's in this too.
Rami Malek, does he look really tired? Herman Goering, is he Herman? Was he the one that pulled faces all the time? Oh no, that's Herman Goering. I'm sorry, ignore me.
Someone at work recommended this movie, which made me think, it must be shit then.
Yeah, it is shit. It's God, like you. Some people my other half really like this. I think she thought I was on board with it as well, and then we got to the end, and then I launched into the list of things I didn't like about it.
It's called a tirade, Lazlo.
Yeah. And then I feel bad because, like, why? It's okay to like things even if they are shit. We're all guilty of it. Rami Malek delivers another confusing performance in this as a military psychologist who is assigned to assess Hermann Goering and the remaining Nazi high command as they await trial in Nuremberg. Russell Crowe plays Goering, and Michael Shannon is also in this as a prosecutor. So all in all, generally a good cast, depending on your feelings about Rami Malek, because in this, he's like grinning the whole time. It seems just weirdly inappropriate that he's grinning so much, considering the weight of everything that's going on around them. And he's also like been given like a magic trick affectation, like he's always like flicking cards around and doing like disappearing things. It goes nowhere. Like, he's a psychologist and he doesn't play any clever tricks on anyone, and he doesn't really get tricked by anyone in return. Anyway, it's just an annoying character trait that he probably asked to be put in there. But the main problem I have with this film is it's got like snappy dialogue throughout and an editing style that just feels completely at odds with the weight of the subject matter. Like, it's trying to hook you in with an entertainment. But I'd be much happier if it was sobering and tragic, which is what it should be and was and is. So it's riddled with like cliches and sort of self-conscious directing. Like, there's at least like twice, there's these bits where people do a thing and then walk away from someone and immediately talk out loud about that person as if they're like not right behind them. It's like a movie thing, as if back's turned to someone, then they can't hear you. But you're like, no, he's sat at the desk like 1 meter away from you. He can hear what you're saying in this silent hall. It's just sort of movieisms.
Logic. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a minor complaint in that regard, but it's I don't know. It's hard not to get involved because of the subject matter, but then it's constantly distracting with these annoying things. Like, there's a comedic, sped up film reel style flashback of a Nazi who escaped Germany by plane and then ran out of fuel and crashed in Scotland. And he kind of pops out of the airplane and he waves for the attention of like a Scottish farmer, who then just lays into him with a spade, and it's all kind of played for laughs. And then within 5 minutes, they're playing real footage of the Jewish people, naked dead bodies in a concentration camp being shoved into a grave by diggers, which is some of the most disturbing footage you can ever see. And just sitting next to this stupid comedic like version of events, you just think, what is the director thinking? It's
Who directed
weird.
it? Is it anyone we know?
He's a writer mainly. He's written a bunch of superhero films, maybe not surprisingly. James Vanderbilt, his name is. He may have, he's been around for years, but I don't think he's directed much. So I don't know, and it leads. The trial itself is absurdly short, and considering it went on for weeks and weeks in real life. In this, it's portrayed as they start in what it looks like it happens in a day, where they talk to him, they present overwhelming evidence. Russell Crowe flips the case back on them. It looks bad, and then one of them throws a little barb his way, which he falls for, and then they get him, and then they say, and everyone else got charged, and it all worked out. And you're like, the most interesting part of it is like a 10-minute scene at the end, sort of squashed down into that, and the rest of it is Rami Malek farting around and lots of scenes of snappy comedic dialogue and stuff. It's just weird.
It's nice that this Holocaust movie gets a happy ending, eh?
Yeah. I mean, Russell Crowe is
wrapped up in a nice bow.
Yeah, but Russell Crowe is decent in it. Is he
German?
He kind of leans on his charisma to kind of convince you that he may not be such a bad guy, and maybe he didn't really know what was going on. And then when he has to turn on the nasty, he's good at that. But he's the sort of one good thing in a film that's quite a mess and quite, I don't know, nasty in a way.
Does he literally put on a German accent?
Yes, and he speaks in German for a lot.
Oh, okay.
I joked at the beginning where he started speaking in German. I was like, I don't think Russell Crowe is going to have learned German to speak in this film, but he clearly either knew it already or did, because there's lots of German from him. So fair play.
That's pretty cool.
Apparently he did speak fluent English in real life as well. We looked this up afterwards, so it's not unconvincing the way he flips between the two.
I know Russell Crowe speaks fluent English.
Yeah. He keeps his accent at bay. So
if he just kept his native accent, it'd be amazing.
New Zealander.
Okay, I'll slot in one more. Then I will talk about Unlawful Entry, which is on Prime, and it's a very 1990s home invasion drama starring Kurt Russell, Madeleine Stowe, and Ray Liotta. And
I've seen this film.
Kurt and Mads are the perfect LA couple, and after a home invasion, they're visited by a corrupt cop, played by Ray Liotta, who then proceeds to befriend them before turning their life into a nightmare as he tries to muscle in on their marriage. And yes, so you can kind of slot this on your shelf alongside like Sleeping with the Enemy, The Hand That Rocks a Cradle, Fatal Attraction, sort of a serious, sober, but also utterly preposterous film for grown-ups. Jonathan Kaplan's director, bit of a journeyman. Although he did direct The Accused, which was a very harrowing film that won Jodie Foster an Oscar in the 80s. This is a well-made film. They don't really make anymore. It's like big stars in a small-scale drama with big production values. The chinos that Kurt wears in this film are up to his nipples. It's unbelievable. And his shirts look like they have their own air filtration system. It's wonderful. The music by James Horner, we were talking about synth orchestras before. The music by James Horner is a monstrosity. It's so bad. But anyway, the cast, it's all about the kind of actors. They're playing to their strength. Kurt is manic, full of repressed anger. Ray Liotta is charming and psychotic. And then Madeleine Stowe carries kind of quiet dignity and strength behind her porcelain exterior. And it hits most of the usual beats for this kind of thing. You get that lengthy setup where the psycho is befriending the family, and the kind of subtle drama of spotting red flags. And then, of course, it descends into schlock at the end, but it's quite well handled. And it's completely ridiculous and implausible, but it is elevated by the actors. And I did appreciate the script to an extent, because people actually act like adults in it. Like, when Ray Liotta does something creepy, Kurt will just go to his wife and just tell her that he's done something creepy, rather than being all secretive or whatever to force dramatic tension. It's just, right, okay, need to talk about this weird guy. So that, I appreciate that. It's a decent movie, and these days, of course, it'd be broken down into a tedious 8-part TV drama, so we should be thankful you can just get it wrapped up in 90 minutes.
There's a couple of things I remember with this. I rember at the start, he reacts like a husband would, if you know what I mean, like his thoughts are like about his wife, sort of thing, like he's protective. And I'm pretty sure there's an amazing joke about a golf club at the start of this as well. He makes a golf joke to kick off the film, and I remember really enjoying that. I can't remember what it is, though. So apologies, listeners. I just remember thinking, good.
Golf at the start of this film.
Yeah. So if you're a keen golfer, if you're listening to this and you're Davis Love III or Arnold Palmer, then you'll probably enjoy the first 5 minutes of this film, and then knock it on the head then.
I feel like I've seen this, but it's like so many other films that, maybe I just saw the trailer a lot when I was younger. I feel like the trailer for this was on a VHS that we had or something. I have a vivid memory of Ray Liotta like bursting through a window at someone, like it's coming to the camera through and there's like a Venetian blinds. Yeah, but I'm not sure if I've actually ever seen it.
I might have to watch the first 10 minutes of this tonight to remind myself of the golf joke. But yeah, no, I do remember it kind of. I think you enjoyed it more than I did. But
I'm really soft spot for these kind of like just simple 90s dramas.
You mean films that usually star Ashley Judd?
Yeah, drinking some dodgy wine.
Double Jeopardy or Double Trouble. Triple Jeopardy.
He was in Something Wild before this, where he also plays a bit of a stalking psycho, so he's got a bit of previous here. Something Wild is a better movie, but still.
Do you think there's like a whole raft of this era of 90s thrillers that will they'll never get 4K re-release? We'll just be destined to watch them in at best 720p on streaming services? Because I watched a 90s thriller, which I'll have to cover next week with Gary Busey, and the quality of it was actively shoddy. And they've clearly just got a DVD rip, and they've got it on a server somewhere, and they're just spewing this out.
Can you tell me the name of that film, just so I can be on tenterhooks for the next time?
It's called The Rage.
Ah, yeah, thank you. And also the listeners,
if you Brian De Palma one, is it?
No, it's by Sidney J. Furie.
Sid Furie.
Starring Lorenzo Lamas. So you know it's good.
Okay, I'm intrigued by that.
I enjoyed the fuck out of this film, but I can save it for next time.
I'm keen to,
So that was The Rage. The Brian De Palma one was The Fury. Not directed by Sidney Furie. That's weird.
No relation to The Rage or Sidney J. Furie. Yeah.
While it pops into my head before we go to the ArkinZ'Dar, please, listeners, do God's work as I do. And every time you stay in a hotel and there's a TV with motion smoothing on, turn that fucking thing off. My son was watching K-pop Demon Hunters in a hotel room over the weekend, of course, and it's got that kind of 15, 20 frames a second thing. And it was just like someone was pissing around with a fast forward button. And I said, Faye, you must be able to see this. And she said, yes. And I turned it off, and I will do it everywhere I go. It is the devil's work. The devil created motion smoothing. It'll never, maybe it's good for football or sport. I don't know what it's for. It looks awful.
Yeah, it's never good.
Yeah.
So,
but do you find when you turn it off, then you suddenly think, oh, now everything looks a bit jerky. It's like it tricks your brain into thinking, like seeing the frames almost without it on for a short while.
You say that everything looks jerky, but you keep forgetting that I'm Pruitt Taylor Vince. So, that's just how I roll. A niche joke, that is. We love you, Pruitt. So, the ArkinZ'Dar was Dennis Quaid to Daniel Craig, which is nice because it's alliterative. I got this off. I only got a couple of entries. I think a few people found this quite hard, from what I understand. But I got this, as usual, just an acceptable entry from Utah Smith.
Daniel Craig is in Aliens and Cowboys, and Harrison Ford, who's in 6 Days, 7 Nights, and Meg Ryan, who is in Short Circuit with that's great.
And then
I think he means
that only works
in a space.
Works if you pretend and is you do have to pretend.
So you got Cowboys and Aliens. He said that the wrong way round, then got the wrong actress. And so I think
but he was on. He had it. Meg Ryan was in Inner Space with Dennis Quaid.
Yeah,
so if he
was in Inner Space,
he got it wrong in multiple ways, but he was very close.
Yes, he definitely mentioned films, so he was definitely on the right path.
So what did you two have? I got another entry as well.
I think I had a 3-stepper. I had Daniel Craig's in Cowboys and Aliens with Harrison Ford, who's in Working Girl with Sigourney Weaver, who's in Vantage Point with Dennis Quaid.
Vantage Point, okay.
That's the Rashomon.
3-stepper too.
This the Council Estate Rashomon confused back.
I had Dennis Quaid was in The Big Easy with John Goodman, who was in Inside Llewyn Davis with Adam Driver, who was in Logan Lucky with Daniel Craig.
Oh, nice and modern.
It helped that I'd watched The Big Easy just the other day.
Max sent in two. Dennis Quaid fought a dragon in Dragonheart. The dragon was voiced by Sean Connery, who's in The Last Crusade with Harrison Ford, who's in Cowboys and Aliens with Daniel Craig.
Nice.
And Dennis Quaid is in The Day After Tomorrow with Jake Gyllenhaal, who is in Source Code, a Kraken film, with Jeffrey Wright, who's in Knives Out 3 with Daniel Craig. Or Wake Up Dead Man.
And a bunch of Bond films, yeah. If no one cracked it.
It's all 3 steps. Oh, hang on. And Dave Chod said Dennis Quaid was in Cold Creek Manor with Christopher Plummer, who was in Knives Out with Daniel Craig.
Wow.
So he sailed in there with a 2-stepper.
Well done.
Yes.
So before we go on to end this, we've got Max Hilarity's Gag Corner. What are the films of the week for you?
I've got to go, actually. I've got to go. It's not time.
I got to shoot off.
Well, we should probably sort out the next ArkinZ'Dar.
Oh, I always forget this. The next ArkinZ'Dar.
And film of the week.
And then we'll do film of the year. Yeah.
Okay, so next, what is the next ArkinZ'Dar then? What are we feeling?
Fucking Jared Leto. Ugh.
To Madeline Stowe.
Oh, nice. That feels good. Cool. Film of the week: Black Phone 2, Home Alone 1. I'll go Home Alone 1 because I didn't remember this, but my God, it's not going to be Black Phone 2 or Home Alone 2.
Wake Up Dead Man for me.
Lovely. Yes, absolutely love that.
I'm trying to remember which ones I didn't slag off. I guess The Hit is the only one that I didn't complain about.
Yeah, that's the one that you got me sold on, to be honest, Lazlo. So we'll end with Max Hilarity's Film Gag Corner. We've got 2 jokes here. And then I've got a little something as well, a quick one to end on.
Okay.
So John Hurt's character was meant to be in the whole film, but was written out of Alien after a violent outburst on set.
Did you
Apparently,
clear your throat there? Lazlo?
No, I just had a sip of wine, hoping it was filled with cyanide.
Just coughed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apparently, you're not allowed to say what went wrong with HAL in 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's PC gone mad. And I've got a little something as well that I've been cooking up for a while. The other day, I was absolutely hammered, but I really wanted to buy a bed. So I went to, the chain store Dreams where they sell beds. So I was in there and I was absolutely battered. I was bumbling around, nice new mattress, nice new bed, and then some member of staff came over and said, so you look like you've been drinking. Could you mind leaving? I said, you fucking can't tell me to leave. I'm in Dreams. I'm going to buy a bed. I need a new bed. And he said, sir, look, you're going to have to ask you to leave, or I'm going to have to get the manager involved. And I said, I'm in Dreams. I'm here to buy a bed. I'm not leaving till I buy a bed. And then he went on his walkie-talkie and he said, look, I've just spoken to the manager and he will give you a lift home in his car. He will just literally drive you home if you leave with him now. And I started getting a bit leery. And he said, look, my manager said, if you wait outside, you can get in his car and he'll give you a lift home. And I started drinking more and I was kicking off a bit, admittedly. And then he looked up and he said, look, my manager's come in now. And I looked up and I said, you go thank you. And he was coming towards me and I said, oh my God, it's Billy Ocean. And I said, Billy. And he said, look, I've had enough of you. Get out of my dreams and into my car. And we'll see you next time.